You need to have a strong Malayali community behind you. But why, I would always ask. My dad would always repeat these words to me. You have to have a strong Malayali community behind you in order to survive, to be happy, to feel secure. And I felt that this was true. I wanted a group of Indian people around me in order to feel safe. So I am a Malayali. I speak Malayalam. I'm from a small country or small state in India called Kerala, and this is my family. I have an older brother. Me and my brother are down here at the bottom. My dad and my mom, when they first got married. I love my parents a lot, but I have rebelled against them almost every step of the way. And I'm going to reveal some things during this presentation that they don't even know about, and they asked me to show the video, so I'm really, letting them know through you guys. So just to let you know, I'm taking some risks here. But yeah, so I've spent a lot of my life just rebelling against my parents, and it's really caused a lot of anxiety within myself, a lot of confusion, a lot of wondering about what is meaningful and purposeful for me. But I think looking within, as Rachel talked about earlier, that has really been the answer for me. So I was raised with very traditional values, cultural values. I was obedient, I was complacent, submissive. I listened to my parents, I listened to my elders, and I was safe. I felt comfortable and good. I did feel like something was missing, but didn't really matter because I was taught that I'm safe if I'm quiet. But this rebellious streak in me, it was always kind of there. When I was in middle school, I would draw a lot of rappers. I had a crush on a guy who was really into hip-hop music. And so when I came home with these drawings of these rappers with tattoos, my parents were just confused. I was confused because I was raised in this household where, you're just do what we tell you to do. But then I see Ludacris and 50 Cent and Tupac, and I'm like, I want to draw that. That makes me feel happy. And I also drew a lot of things in pop culture. So my parents, were Indian, and they emphasized a lot of Indian values. But I was being raised in this American culture, and so this bicultural identity really has had a huge influence on the way that I see myself and the world. So I stuck to pop culture and things that what I thought that this boy that I had a crush on, I wanted to do what I thought he liked. And so this self-esteem or self-concept, it was really based in what other people thought about me, with some kind of underlying, curiosity about what's happening within myself. But again, it wasn't intentional on my part. I kept drawing, and I became a little bit more centered. So I got in touch with my darker side. So artists, they have this reputation for being rebellious and connected to the dark side. That's who I am. And imagine just with my culture, they de-emphasize these values, so it's really, been an ongoing struggle. So we see the skulls. I got into henna for a little bit. That's my ankle down at the corner. I do like the fruity, stuff, that cupcake with the cherry. Very into the emotions. So he was a Native American man. I saw a picture of him and I was just immediately connected. Philosophical ideas, time, this hourglass here. And I also liked nature a lot as well. So coming back to this rebellious streak in me, when I was 20 years old, I'm 24 right now. When I was 20 years old, I decided to go backpacking through Southeast Asia by myself, and only one person knew that I was alone. These are some of my experiences there. I think the top 3 pictures really exemplify who I am as a person. So I see a situation, I'm smiling at it, I'm intrigued, I look at it, I am approaching it, and you can kind of see my face there. I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. And then I'm touching the cobra's head, and I'm terrified, but I'm still touching the cobra's head. So these are just some of the adventures that I went on in Thailand. So I went backpacking through Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam for 3 months. My parents still don't know that I was alone. So when they see this video, I'm sorry. Okay, I just want to let you know. I remember one night I was in India with my mom, and we were just hanging out on the bed, and for some reason I felt that was the moment to tell her, by the way, that one trip that I took, I was alone. So I decided to tell her. That conversation did not last long. She looked at me and she goes, okay, sure. And we never talked about it again. And I, for some reason, thought, I'm okay with that answer. I'm gonna stick with that. So we haven't talked about it since. But what I did was I printed off a welcome. You have been invited to go on this volunteering trip with this group of volunteers. Yeah, and I'm crazy, y'all. I mean, something's not right. That's probably why I'm in psychology now. So I printed out this letter. They said okay, and then I went, and I was robbed 2 times. I also ended up as a bridesmaid for a Cambodian wedding. This is that corner picture right here. They gave me a really badass faux hawk that I really was vibing with. But the reason the contrast is so high in that picture is because they painted my face white. So colorism is a real thing, first of all. And within the Indian culture, within Asian cultures, I mean, within the world, it's real. And so it was interesting for me to be a part of this culture. They invited me into it. I was appreciative. I loved being a part of it, but my face was just pale and like a ghost-like, and my arms were still dark. And so I'm up there with, these Cambodian women and men, and 2 of them are getting married, and then there's me with these dark little arms, and and then my face is painted white. And so, I mean, that was just a really interesting experience for me. Yeah. So I rebelled, and I came back to America with excitement, but also just kind of emptiness, because here I was being rebellious, but not really knowing why. Was it rebellion against my parents, against the traditional, like, conservative Indian culture? I didn't know why, and I felt empty. And then I found mindfulness. So I am a PhD counseling psychology student, and my research interests involve mindfulness, cultural diversity, and resilience. And so my main objective is to give minority populations stress-reducing techniques, empowerment, that resiliency building self-concept of themselves. And so mindfulness, how many of you have heard of mindfulness? Just to get, ooh, nice, okay, I like that. So mindfulness is just the open, non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. So instead of being stuck in the past, ruminating on the past, and maybe even falling into depression, or being anxious about the future, which could lead to anxiety, you're focused on the present moment. And so the idea is the more you practice coming back to the body, back to the breath, the better able you are to respond with control in stressful situations. So I incorporate mindfulness into my yoga practice. I'm a yoga instructor at Mizzou as well. And it's all very connected, right? It's a holistic approach to well-being. It's mind and body connection. And so through my mindfulness practice, I started to see myself in different ways. So I just want you to look at this and think about this for yourself, because this is kind of insightful. So we see the public self, what others see in me, and what I see in me. Private self, what you don't see in me and what I see in me. Yeah, take pictures is helpful. Undiscovered self, what I don't see in me, but what other people see in me, or what other people don't see in me either. And then the blind self, what I don't see in me and what everyone else sees in me. And I've had glimpses of each aspect of myself throughout my journey, because although a part of me was willing to please the people outside of myself, I was still sticking to something authentic within myself. And I'm not sure what, but I was pulled in this direction, and it was truly spiritual for me. So through this self-understanding, I think I found my artistic self in these 2 ways. So one quote, creativity is a wild mind and a disciplined eye. I'm wild. I don't think I hide that. I'm kind of out of my mind, but I did not get into the PhD program because of my wild side only. It's because I was able to look within myself and be aware of that passion that has gave me some structure to the way that I approach psychology, health, and wellness. And freedom is a state of mind. So rebellion is not really the answer. It's about the intention behind that rebellious act. So I wasn't necessarily rebelling against the Indian culture or my parents. I was rebelling against historical oppression. I was rebelling against inequality. And that has really allowed me to kind of immerse my worlds together. This bicultural identity, I was able to bring it all together. So then my art kind of just took off. I was interested in culture, clearly, still, especially when I think back on drawing these rappers. These were people outside of my own personal world. Big Ben, one day I was in biology class, that second picture up at the top, and we were learning about meiosis, and I was doodling, and it turned into a Muslim woman on the corner of my notebook page. I drew, animals still. And then I came here for the PhD program. My lovely cohort is in the middle right there. I met some people in Ashland, Missouri. That was an interesting meetup. We have a lot of bonfires here, and my advisor here is up at the top. His name is Chris Layton, and the one on the left side is Dr. Jenkins. She was my mentor at my previous institution. Teaching yoga down here. And then that middle picture, I was leading a mindfulness retreat for a women of color overnight stay. And so I think, once again, this idea of giving minority populations or those who don't have a voice that remembrance that they can look within to reduce stress is important. So after the program, social justice became my center. As you can see, these are not my drawings, but they reflect what I believe in, which is equality. And then, once again, just incorporating what I believe about psychology, health and wellness, and this holistic approach once again. So we have the brains here, we have Einstein. I even started embedding my own culture into it, something that I rebelled against when I was younger. My spirituality became a big part of my art as well. It's more of my art. This right here is Hogwarts. There's actually Hermione, Harry, and Ron at the very bottom, but I don't know if you could see that. Then I did a couple art shows. Buddhism is very, very influential in my own art as well. And then this is just kind of the evolution of my art, and it'll keep going, but I started out with just kind of like not really knowing what I was doing, why I was doing it, but eventually became powerful. And I was going to lead you through a little bit of meditation, but I would suggest that you Google it. I am out of time. But I do want to leave you with a quote. Feel the present, hold the vision, let go of resistance, enjoy the journey, trust the process, and know that all is well.